So, I saw Godzilla King of Monsters the other day, and upon looking at the tomato meter, I don't think these reviewers have any idea what they're talking about. I've heard a lot of people, YouTubers and stuff included, saying that it was a bad movie and that it was terrible and all that. I just have to wonder, what were they expecting going in? Like, they said the human plot was dumb. They said there's flashing lights. Uh, I I don't really know. I don't really understand the issue. Like, yeah, the human plot's dumb, but you're going to a Godzilla movie to watch monsters fight. Anyways, so I thought today I would walk through and read some of the comments or some of the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes for the new Godzilla movie. So let's start. We'll start from the very first one. The classic face-off arrives in an emotional vacuum rather than in an earned catharsis. The big fight never feels like a payoff. That one's a bit tricky. I mean, that's really opinion, I guess. I thought the fight was really cool. I mean, I don't want to go into too big of spoilers if people haven't seen it, but the last fight scene against Ghidorah is pretty badass. They do some really cool stuff. This thing is an unholy mess. Uh, Again, it's an opinion. Doesn't really mention any points. I mean, if I read the full review, I'm sure they would, but I don't really care that much. I just kind of wanted to look over the Spark Notes version of them. Its errors fall mainly under the heading of failing to get out of its own way. Its imperfections are compensated by magnificence. Yeah, I agree with that. I think a lot of the monster scenes are gorgeous and the fights are awesome. Doesn't need an original story like all kaiju movies, it only requires awesome monsters. See, even Salon gets it. Oh my god. Subtle social commentary. I mean, yeah, the movies have always had an environmental tone to them. Or anti-weapons or whatever. At moments, you feel like you're in the trippiest of David Attenborough docs. Who's David Attenborough? Oh, some dude who talks about history. A national treasure of Britain. Okay, cool. Sure, maybe it is David Attenborough. That's a fair statement, I guess. Dougherty isn't quite sure to wow us with hulking immensity or to wag his fingers at us for environmental hubris of our species. Not sure your point. Is he saying that there's too much environmental commentary? Perhaps. Uh, but the monster fights are cool. The real titan here, Vera Farmiga, who harnesses her acting prowess to super heroic heights in the role of Dr. Russell. Russell? Russell. Trying to force some sort of emotional resonance and sense from this thing. Yeah, she was terrible. Another commentary on the humans. This movie is stupid. Cool. Very cool. Uh, it is all one monster mash with humans running around hysterically while spouting lines and no discernible plot. How in the world did Kyle Chandler, Vera Farmiga, and Millie Bobby Brown end up in this mess? Money. Also, it was fun. Has plenty of flaws, but delivers where it counts, thanks to stunning creature designs and spectacular fight sequences. Agreed. Somewhat predictable, that message has been diluted over the decades to the point that here, the use of nuclear weapons is celebrated as a good thing, with Inari a hint of subtlety or solemnity about their repercussions. Um, well, there's two bombs that primarily go off in the film. The first one is setting up something new. The second is a bit weird, I agree. But it brought casualty with it, so I mean, They added some weight and decision, or consequences to the decision. Seems not even a giant radioactive reptile can carry a creature feature on his own anymore. Disagree. Hard disagree. This is fair. It's meh. The only fun bit was watching CGI monsters in action. I mean, I liked the rest of it, but ow. For a while, 2014's Godzilla is one of my favorite films, and certainly my favorite monster film. I know a lot of people took issue with the lack of title or monster film, but I love the slow build up. Too many words. Too long, didn't read. Every frame of painting. I agree with this. I'm gonna show some of the really beautiful shots right here from the trailer, and I think that statement is absolutely true. Like, a lot of the monster shots were beautiful, like almost like they were paintings or something. Like, they were gorgeous, gorgeous shots. Let's get some more critic reviews. I'm gonna just read a couple more, and then I'm gonna just give you everybody a quick rundown of my opinion on it. Cool. Well, I read all these ones. Somewhat predictable. The message has been diluted over the decades. No, I already read that one. Seems no, read that one. Will satisfy those looking for giant-sized monster bash. Yet human element weighs down this colossal titan from becoming king of monster movies. Agreed. It's MonsterVerse franchise fodder, heading towards Godzilla's confrontation with Skull Island's giant gorilla, King Kong. That is kind of means nothing, to be honest. That statement is kind of a given. Marking time until the main event, which is Godzilla battling King Ghidorah at Fenway Park. Oh my god, that scene was awesome. Bigger isn't always better, and that's absolutely the case with this monstrous disappointment. Disagree. Comparable to 2014's Godzilla and far superior to 1998's Godzilla vs. Ferris Bueller. It's merely Godzilla with a Z. Z. Okay. So I just want to talk about how I felt about the movie. The movie I thought was great. Like, I've seen the movie a couple times in theaters, and see, the first time I was like a lot of these reviewers. I thought that they were trying to be serious with the human subplot, but upon rewatching it, you kind of start to pick up on a lot of the cheese. For example, the main character, the main character, Kyle Chandler, I believe it is. Yeah, Kyle Chandler. The main character, Kyle Chandler, he whispers the whole movie. They're only like 1% of the time does he actually like not whisper, and it's literally just him yelling. Me and my friend had a good laugh with that. But all the movie lines are just so cheesy. Like, I don't understand how these reviewers can try and like review this as a serious film. Like, the lines are funny. Like, it's almost not quite, but it's almost room tier. But then you go to scenes where the monsters are there, and the fights are awesome. Like, the fight scenes are insane. Like, here's some now I'm gonna get into the spoilers, so you can skip ahead a little bit if you don't want to hear them, or just click off now. Like, there's one scene near the end where he's going to fight like Ghidorah, and he's been hit by. They use a nuke on him to make him all supercharged, and he's walking through the city, and buildings are literally melting him around him, like molten Godzilla, and it's so cool, man. He's just walking down the street, and there's just buildings and everything melting, and he's just molten. And there's another scene earlier on where he's fighting Ghidorah in the ocean, and he rips Ghidorah's head off, and it's so badass. Like, it is such a cool fight. Like, there's only, I think, the total fights, Ghidorah, fights Godzilla in the Antarctic. Godzilla fights Ghidorah in Fenway Park. Rodan and Ghidorah fight, and Mothra and Rodan fight. One thing, there's some things that are not really clear that you might understand now, like if you watch it again. Like it's not like immediately clear that the Asian girl, I can't remember the actress's name, but there's an Asian girl who works alongside Kyle Chandler's character, and she is one of the twins that's supposed to represent the fairies that Mothra is, or sorry, that go along with Mothra. The only hint of that is her talking about her family's history and working with the company, and they show, and then when they go back to like Mothra hatching out of her cocoon, she's there again, but it's not her; it's her twin sister. It's just not very clear. It's I didn't get it at first, to be honest, but second viewing I got it. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Um, what else was there? I feel like there's a lot of scenes missing from the movie, to be honest. Like, when you go see it, there's going to be a lot of cuts. Or if you've seen it already, you'll probably notice a lot of bizarre cuts that didn't really make sense. But, I don't know, man. It's just like, what do you go see one of these movies for? You go to see giant monsters fighting, and it's super badass, and I don't know what more you want from it. Anyways, I think the movie's great. At least for what it does. I mean, I like watching Power Rangers and that kind of stuff too with my friend. It's just silly fun, man. If you haven't seen it already, I recommend going seeing it. Maybe after a few drinks with some friends, or maybe just try to joke around and just have fun with it. But seriously, it's worth seeing. It's worth giving it a try. I think it was a pretty solid movie. Thanks for watching.